All right, welcome back to the channel. No cold starts, no talking, we're just gonna get right to the work. And rather than tell you what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna start working and we'll see where we get today. So one thing that's been bugging me is the steering's really tight. So what I'm thinking is the kingpins are seized because they sat in that field for so many years. And I tried to grease them last year, but I don't think the grease got all the way down through the shaft. So what I'm doing is I'm using my my cool Walker jack that one of my fans in Edmonton really liked the show, and he called me up and said, hey, I've got an old jack that I don't use anymore. So I went over and visited with him and gave me a good deal on it. So that worked really nice rather than using the bottle jack. And then I just put it on some stands. So what we'll be able to do now is be able to turn the wheel all the way both ways and then try and get some grease in there. And hopefully that loosens the steering up a little because she's still annoying to jockey around the yard. Oh yeah, she's taking grease way better now that the load's off the kingpins. So we'll fill this right up, and that'll solve that problem, I think. So it won't be so stiff to steer. And once I get this done, I'll have to give the whole truck a once over, some grease and some spring maintenance, because she's been sitting all winter. And then I gotta go get me some diesel fuel as well. Now it's nice. I guess one benefit of this COVID thing is the price of fuel's come down. It was about $1.30 a liter 3 months ago, which for my American friends times 4, it's over $5 a gallon. And it's recently dropped to about 90 cents, so we're finally at about just under $4 a gallon. So if it drops another quarter, I'll probably roll up to the old gas station there and give both tanks a fill. Oh yeah, that's getting a lot better. Hopefully it's that nice when I drive it down the road. So I was mucking around on Amazon and I saw they've got stainless steel steering wheel spinners, and I'm a big fan of those, so I ordered one of those and we'll mount that on there. But I'm thinking this is gonna help a lot. So I figured I'd also grease all the various fittings, which is hard to do one-handed, so I'll just hold that there for a second. Just to make sure everything in the steering is good and greased and going to be loosened up. Now you'll notice that there's no front brakes on this truck, and a lot of the early, well, mid 70s, late 70s trucks never did have front brakes. They didn't come around until the early 80s. My Kenworth is the same way. So I did some digging, and if I converted this truck into a body job like a gravel truck or something, I'd have to mount front brakes on here. But as long as you're pulling a trailer, you can still get a CVIP for it and make it legal. So interesting little tidbit, but yeah, you won't find front brakes on a lot of these older trucks. And while we're looking at the front end here, you'll notice this is still blue. So I never sandblasted past the battery boxes. So the front clip, the springs, the axle, that all needs to be cleaned up, primed, and painted. So that's something we'll definitely do, and it's on the list to finish the front end up. And then the bumper, this somewhere along the way when it was towed, someone tweaked this guy and bent it up, so it won't go back in. But I think that's okay. What I'm going to do is take the, I mean, I could heat it up and bang it back in, but I'm going to actually do a blind mount bumper eventually, so I don't even need these. So I'll just take them off. And like I say, eventually the bumper is going to go away, and we'll put on, because it's kind of dinged up, banged up, and I'm thinking we'll do kind of a nice drop blind mount blade bumper, probably 18 or 20 inch. So I figure that'll look pretty sharp. Again, for the purists out there, they're gonna say, well, that doesn't belong on a 359, but this is my custom truck. I'm gonna make it the way I like it. And the Kenworth, we're gonna keep the Kenworth stock. But this one, I've got a vision in my head of what it's gonna look like, and I'm slowly but surely getting there. So if you're wondering why I'm always huffing in my videos, it's because this stuff is heavy and I'm doing it all manually. This isn't like lifting up your F-150. This stuff is beefy. Is that enough? Yep. There we go. There. Okay. On to the next thing. Okay, getting closer. So I figured after I clean this up, before I do a cardboard cutout to cut out a piece of carpet, I'm going to lay down some of that noise deadening material, just because I think this is going to vibrate and bounce going down the road. So we'll do that, and then we'll get going on cutting out a piece of carpet for this. Coming together. Okay, just doing a little bit of trimming and cutting, and like I say, making a cardboard cutout, and then I'll make the same for the two wings, and then tape that on there, and then I'll be able to lift this out and then lay it on top of the carpet and cut along the edge, and we should have a nice piece of carpet that'll just fit right in there with hopefully only a little bit of trimming. So I'm just continuing with the cardboard cutouts and fitting them in there. Oops, I can't shove it all the way in there, but you get the idea. So that way we'll be able to lay this on the carpet, cut it out, and then we should have a pretty tight fit with very minimal trimming. Fingers crossed. And the beauty of a symmetrical sleeper is theoretically this guy should be able to be flipped over and fit right into this side. So that'll make quick work of that one. Then I can just trace that out on another piece, and boom, we're done. So now to transfer it down to the carpet. So I unrolled both sections of carpet and brought them inside to flatten them out. And it's apparent to me that they're not going to be wide enough. So it's going to have to be a seam. Yeah, carpet's not quite wide enough for a sleeper. It's going to work for the cab, but not for the sleeper. So I guess what I'll have to do is do something like this. And then there'll just have to be a seam in the second passenger side closet. I'll just cut this last strip like that, and hopefully cut it straight and just mate the two together. Maybe glue it down to hold it down in the sleeper. So I figured better put some gloves on, safety first. And you know, this flooring is really nice because it's got the carpet and then 2 layers of insulation, kind of sound deadening, but it's thick, so it is hard to cut. So it's going to take a while. I guess I just got to keep at it and try not to break my knife like I did on the last one. But yeah, slowly but surely we'll get there. This way so you can see it. Try and get some kind of a straight edge here with this board. Oh boy, it's just such thick stuff to cut. All cut. This stuff's beefy. Oh. And matched to the cardboard, a little extra trimming there, just to make sure as close as I could be to the cardboard, and we'll see how this fits in here. Okay. Well, I didn't cut it upside down. Oh, that's looking good actually. All right. There you go. Might have to do a little more trimming just to press it down into the corners, but you get the idea. So I trimmed a little piece, a little strip off of there ever so carefully so I didn't nick the upholstery, and then we'll just try and push it down. I find that pushing it down really makes it tight. Oh, that's looking sharp. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. All right, I just got to take a peek at what it looks like with this plastic. And I won't be walking in this closet, so. Look. Like new. Not bad for a guy that doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, so I just need to trim this guy. to the right size, and then we'll cut out a piece and put it in there. And I'll use a nice, because this was the nice finished edge that I know is straight, so I'll do the same thing. I'll put the bottom against a nice square edge, and then this should you shouldn't even notice this seam. It should be pressed up nice and tight. We'll see. Okay, come on. Nice and snug. That's what we're going for. All right. Nice. Yeah, I'm digging that. This carpet's very forgiving. You can barely see the seam there. Awesome. Getting to be a pretty fancy stabbing cabin. So I was going to leave this panel under the bed because it's already black, but my OCD got the better of me, so I'm going to pull it out. And this will be easy because we already know the size, and I should have enough left over from the piece that I cut the T out of for the front, so that should be pretty easy to make and fit it in there. But you know, where you look, you go to do one project and it creates 3 more. So now I got to lay the Noiko stuff down, the sound deadening, but that should be pretty easy. 2 big squares, and we'll roll that in there, cut this piece out, and then we're going to call the sleeper done. So same idea as before. I just took the carpet and marked it out, and what I've found is rather than try and cut 1 inch at a time because it's so thick, you just keep going back and forth, and eventually it cuts through all the layers, and it makes a beautiful cut, and it doesn't, not so hard on your knife. See, it takes 4 or 5 cuts to get through all those layers, but as long as you have a nice straight edge, it does a beautiful cut. Now I'm not worried about stepping on this one because it's underneath the bed, so we'll go ahead and peel it off. Ah, look at that. Gorgeous. Now we'll just throw it in the cab. I think this is going to be worth the 20 minutes of work that it took. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's tight fit. There you go. Have to get out of the way. There. Very nice. And just in case, we'll throw one of these at the back, and then I'll also be able to tell if anyone was in there chewing on the corner, because I do not want mice in the sleeper. They're not welcome here. Okay, onto the cab, and after much personal debate, I am going to pull this floor. I know I worked really hard to put it in, and everyone's commenting. Well, some people say take it out, some people say leave it in, but I'm going to put the carpet in for a couple reasons. One, it's going to match the sleeper, and then you got the carpet on the bottom of the doors too, so having carpet on the floor of the cab is just going to tie this all together and look so much sharper. So we'll go ahead and pull this floor. It's just a floating floor. The only thing that held it in place was the seats and the shifter boots, so it's pretty easy to take out, and I'll always have it. I could add it back later if I want to. And this is more of a show truck slash toy, so it's not going to be working on the oil rigs, bringing in a whole bunch of goop on the floors. So I think I should be able to manage with the carpet. So we'll go ahead and get that pulled. And the nice thing is, it's already kind of pre-made. So I can just easily lay it out, mark it out, and cut it. So it's going to be pretty easy to do the carpet now that I'm practiced. And then I ordered some stuff online. The old 4-State Trucks Chrome Shop Mafia. I got some stainless. And the first piece here, these are little strips to go along the edge of the door. So I think they're going to really look sharp, and they'll hold the carpet down on the edge to keep it from catching when you come into the cab. And then those who know Peterbilt 359 cabs know that that's a pretty typical strip, stainless steel strip that goes right in front of the seats. But again, I don't know if I'm going to use it there, or I might use it where it makes the transition up the angle and cover up that joint. there, because I don't know if the carpet will bend and go up. Again, I'm just trying this as I go. So if I can just cut the whole piece out and it works, we'll leave it. But other than that, I think the front piece is going to have to be a separate one. So there's going to be a seam all the way along the two sections, which I might be able to use a stainless steel strip for to cover that up and make sure that it doesn't get caught and lift either way. So we'll go ahead and get started on that, see where we end up. So I have to say, this floor stood up really well to all the abuse I put it through, taking that roof cap off and working on all of these other projects in this cab. I forget the brand that it was called, but it was just a vinyl flooring I got from Home Depot. So if anyone wants something durable for the floor of their truck that an average Joe could cut out and put together, that might be a winner. Oh. Boy, oh boy. This truck sure got dirty with all the projects over the last few months. We'll just sweep that in there. Nice. Oh, one other thing. Someone commented and said, why don't you just leave the floor there and put carpet over top? But of course I can't do that because the carpet's got the double underlay, so it's quite thick. And I'm worried if I put that over top of this that I'll never be able to get the bolts started to hold the seats down. So we'll just take this out. We'll save it for a rainy day. Again, I could always put it in sometime in the future. So I thought I'd do a test with some pieces of carpet that I had left over from the first round. And we'll just put this in here. And I'm thinking there is going to need to be a cut there, because otherwise it's always going to be rounded. It'll never look right. So we'll cut it and see what it looks like with another piece. Yeah, I think that'll work. I think that'll look a lot better, cleaner. And then I'll just put that stainless steel strip all the way along, and that'll hold both pieces from either curling up or curling back. Okay, we'll get at her. And then I also noticed, I recalled now, when I took the interior out of this truck, there was actually blue carpet on this cover plate. And for those that know that this cover plate is actually removed to take the camshaft out of the big V8s. I can't recall if it was a 1693 or the 3408 or both, but that was the only way to get the cam out, was to pull it out the back into the cab. It's pretty neat. But yeah, so I can just cut out a rectangle of carpet and tack that on there, and that'll cover up that ugly as well. Yeah, this is gonna look good. So I was just in here and I was thinking, I wonder if I need to take the clutch pedal off in order to get the piece of carpet kind of threaded over, because it'll just be a hole, right? And so I popped this off, and check this out. Isn't that nice? I think that's pretty cool, especially if you cleaned it all up. I think that's much nicer than the old worn out rubber pedal. But of course, like everything else of this truck, you make one thing nice and it's going to create a problem for everything else around it. So I'll have to now maybe get a chrome clutch shaft, and then fancy silver pedals for the gas and the brake. Never ends. I couldn't resist. I got the wire wheel out and cleaned that up. Man, that looks sharp. It's like a custom clutch pedal. Sweet. Again, just doing some prepping. And I got the little trim strips out to try and see what that's going to look like. And just as I suspected, this stuff is so thick with the double layers. And I've already got the Noiko sound deadening and the foam. It's awfully high. I really don't want to rip this all out. I wonder if that's not so bad. Like I'll be able to get the seat started and bolted down, because they're going to squeeze the carpet as the seat gets tightened. But I'm just wondering if that's going to look a little funny raised up. I suppose when the screws are in, it's going to compress it down. Yeah, maybe we'll go with this. Maybe I'll drill a few holes and try it out and see how it looks with the sample. Oh yeah, just as I thought. It'll compress the carpet. That's going to work really nice. Then I can get it nice and level with this. All right, let's get to cutting. Throw that carpet in here. So if you see, there's two sets of drawings on there. So I just wanted to highlight, if anyone's doing this, I figured, originally I had it laid out so I was going to have the factory edge at the back. And then I realized, well, why would you have your really good cut at the back behind the seats that no one's going to see? So then I had to spin the whole thing around and redraw it with the factory cut at the front, where of course you want that square so it matches up with the other piece that I'm going to do. So whatever, live and learn. Okay, let's see if we can get this thing in there. Maybe I'll do this in a time lapse because it's going to take a while. Pretty close, lined up on the other side. Just to see if we can get this curled in. Might have to trim it a little bit. I went a little bit big because it's easier to take off material than it is to add. So I think I might need to trim maybe a 1/4 inch off of here. Pretty pleased overall. So I've discovered an easy way to get the bolts through. Just bang around it, and eventually it will just come and pop right through. Now that's the way to make a hole. Perfect. So then I also trimmed along there. Patience is a virtue. Just got to take a little bit of time till it finally fits in there. And it's not a perfect cut, but again, we're going to put that little stainless strip over there. So we'll do that next. Well, I always say truckers like shiny things. Oh, I love peeling off the plastic for, except when it does that. There. Beauty. So that's going to go in something like this. If I can get it to fit. Oops. And yes, just like everything else, as you make something more pretty, you've got to fix other stuff. So all this weather stripping, this is all probably original 1970s, and it shrunk 2 inches there. So I don't know, I'll probably buy it from Dirks or Peterbilt, and we'll get nice new weather stripping in here. But you get the idea on the trim, how good that's going to look. There, that worked really well. Now I may upgrade these screws to stainless, but that's all I had right now, so we'll use it. But that looks really sharp. It'll hold the carpet down nicely. Nice transition. Cool. All right, so that's going to put a wrap on episode 53. We got the back carpet in. I still need to put the shifter boot on, which we'll do in the next episode, and then mount that front carpet. I've also got an email from my buddy Aaron at Peterbilt, and he said my new seats are in. If you're wondering why we have new seats, because I did have those Legacy Silvers, they were just too darn big for this little cab. And when the armrests were down, there was probably about that much space to get between them to try and get into the bunk, which just didn't make sense. So sold them to my cousin. He put them in his truck, so he needed some new driver seats in a few of his rigs. So he's making good use of them, and that's why I ordered new seats. So those will be in the next episode. And then finally, I also wanted to highlight my stickers. I've still got a bunch of the Old Trucks Matter little by little bumper stickers, and then the TwinStick logo. And up to this point, I've been giving them away to people all over the world, for anyone who's been contributing to their local charity or food bank, and it's just been great. But I think what I'm going to have to do now, though, is I got to try and recover some of my cost. I've contributed probably over $800 so far with stickers and envelopes and postage. So I'm going to sell them at this point. I'm going to give all the profit, if there's any left over, to my local food bank. So don't worry about that. And what I'll do is I'll just charge $5 each, or you can get all 3 for $10, and I'll include shipping to make it easy. So if you're interested in any stickers, send me an email, 359twinsticks@gmail.com, or check out my profile on YouTube for more information on that. So there you go, another update, little by little.